Hey guys, this is Nathan and welcome to the Gaming 4. Today in this Unturned map review, we're going to be covering a map called Pennsylvania. Now this map did not score very well, it scored a 57 out of 100, but of course we do look at not as good maps as some others because it's good to learn from other people's mistakes, and I'm not just saying this is a bad map. There's definitely a lot that was good to this map, and there's definitely ways that it could be redeemed with a little bit of work from the map maker. So anyway, let's talk about some of the strengths of this map and sort of flush out what was actually good about it. So the first thing that was really good about this map is that it did include really good high tier spawns and challenging areas. So something that's very important to map making is that you challenge the players and you don't let them get bored with the difficulty of the map. So it's important to have certain areas harder than others and other areas just more relaxed and not as difficult. Something else that was really good about this map is that there's a decent amount of food and clothing spawns in various places throughout the map. In most of the starting areas, there was actually quite a bit of food and quite a bit of clothing compared to a lot of other maps, and this was really great because it allows the player to get set up and start their survival on a good foot. Another really good thing about this map is that it did include pretty much everything in terms of natural spawns. It included all types of animals, it did include berries, and it had metal nodes and trees and everything else that you need to do a natural survival. Something else relating to survival is that it did also include all the types of car maintenance gear. Now this is especially important because this was a large map and vehicles for traveling around the map are very important. Especially with a large map, you don't want to have the player actually have to run everywhere because that's just tedious and it makes them not want to play as much. And it's better to have those cars available for players, and having the maintenance gear for those cars is really important as well because obviously they need to maintain the car that they're going to be using. The last thing that I want to talk about that was actually really good about this map is there's a lot of creativity put into it. For example, there's a lot of creative, cool locations that are very interesting to explore, and they're really cool looking, and they have a really good feel to them. So just as certain areas of the map are more dangerous than others, it's also important to have certain areas of the map be a little more interesting than others. And this gives the players an incentive to explore the map and find those cooler areas. Alright, so now let's get into why this map actually scored so low. So one of the main things that hurt this map is that it had large map syndrome, and I'm sort of going to coin this term. This is pretty much when a map is a large map and there's not enough to the map for it to actually be a large map. This map really could have been a medium map, and if the map maker had kept all the locations and all the item spawns and everything and just put it into a medium map, it would have done really well. The main issue with large maps is filling them up, and of course if you don't fill them up, you just get these large spaces of natural terrain that is pretty boring and there's really not much to it. And this map really suffered in that way as well. Something else that you see with large map syndrome is that there's not enough item spawns and not enough vehicles or locations as well. So there's overall just a lack of content whenever you get a map with large map syndrome. Something that actually made this a little bit worse is that the terrain in this map was very bland. So there was one type of material used, and that was grass throughout the entire terrain pretty much. And besides that, there's only one type of tree as well. So it was kind of monotonous. There were just like slight rolling hills here and there, and it was pretty bland except for some small rocky areas that were very distributed throughout the map. Another thing that really hurt the map is that the detailing quality was very bad. Of course, it is pretty challenging to detail an entire map, especially a large map, but when detailing these maps, it is important that you actually get a decent amount of quality into it. Otherwise, all your locations seem pretty crappy because there's just not much going on with the detailing, and it doesn't look very nice or realistic. Now, one more main topic that this map really had issues with is that it was way too hard, and it's way too hard for a couple of reasons. First of all, there was very little and almost no low caliber weapons that the player could pick up pretty readily. For example, there was a very huge lack of handguns, bows and arrows. There was a decent amount of melee weapons, but you need something ranged, especially in normal difficulty when you're fighting against the special types of zombies. Along with that, there really were not that many ammo spawns as well. So for example, if you do happen to pick up a nice gun, maybe a Maple Strike or Eagle Fire, you need to supply it with a decent amount of ammo in order to kill the amount of zombies you need. And if that ammo is not existing in the form of either clips or ammo crates, you really can't do that, and it really becomes hard to survive in those situations. Something else that added to this and potentially made it worse is that there were a ton of zombie spawns in each of the locations. For example, if you drove a car into one of these towns, you would get faced with 25 zombies at a time. And of course, in normal difficulty, they're not all normal zombies. You can't just train them around and kill them all eventually with a melee weapon. Some of them are fire zombies, some of them are spitters, some of them are sprinters, and so you really can't use the basic tactics to get rid of them. And the last thing that really contributes to the the difficulty of this map is that there were mega zombie spawns, which is good to have, but they were way too strong. Obviously, the map maker had messed with the amount of health they have, and they were crazy tanky. At a certain point, we unloaded a couple military drums full of military ammunition into one mega zombie before it would die. And really, that is way too much firepower. That is more than any player will have at any time in a normal survival, because that's too much ammo. Like, where are you going to find that much ammo? That's like 250 rounds to kill a mega zombie. In no way is that worth it. And something that really added to it is that the drops that the mega zombie gave you were not even that good. You didn't even get a drum back or anything even more rare than a drum, like an Alice pack. So in some situations, the mega zombies were just way too over the top. It was pretty much not worth it to fight them at all, and that really takes away from the fun aspect of this map. Now, of course, I do have a lot of negative things to say about this map, but I just hope that in the future, map makers learn from this and hopefully don't make the same mistakes. As a map maker, if you're thinking about making a map, maybe consider a normal map or even a small map as your first one, because a large map is a lot to deal with, and if you don't have what it takes to put the detail and the effort into making a large map, it's going to turn out pretty terrible. So that's just a quick warning to new map makers: start with something small. Anyway guys, if you're interested in this map, there will be a link to it in the description like always. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe if you want to see some more. I will see you all later.